When you notice anything illogical in a profile, or you find that facts from the attached records conflict with one another in a significant way, the profile probably contains facts, sources, and relationships for more than one person. Because problems like this, where a profile represents more than one person, regularly crop up on FamilySearch, I'd like to show a proper strategy for correcting problem profiles that doesn't lead to even bigger problems. When you suspect a single profile represents two or more people, you'll want to first establish your perspective and some foundational facts consistent with your perspective in order to anchor yourself during the corrective process. Next, review and sort attached sources based on your perspective and foundational facts. This makes it possible to determine who the existing profile best represents. Only after these preliminary steps are done should you find, unmerge or restore, or create a profile for the other person. Then, update surrounding relationships as determined in the sources that you reviewed. After that, you'll be able to migrate sources and vital facts to the appropriate profile. And lastly, remove all trace of the other person in each of the profiles. Let me show you how this is done using Katharina Boos's profile as an example. Her profile problems will present themselves when we view two of the records attached to her profile, the 1808 baptism and the 1835 marriage. Reading from the index on the left, Katharina Boos was baptized in 1808 in Malterdingen. She was born 1808 to Johann Friedrich Boos and Sabine Heitzmannin, which in German is the feminine form of Heitzmann. The original record verifies that the names on the index were correct. Johann Jacob Mundinger married in 1835 in Malterdingen. His spouse was Katharina Mundinger, daughter of Friedrich Mundinger and Maria Elisabetha Heitzmann. Even though these records are in Old German script, you should be able to make out some of the names. There's no question that the maiden name of the Katharina on this record was Mundinger. There are a number of conflicts between these two records. The surname of the fathers don't match, which means that Katharina's maiden names don't match. The mother's given names don't match. Clearly, these records are for two different Katharinas. Katharina Boos, born 1808 to Johann Friedrich Boos and Sabine Heitzmann. And Katharina Mundinger, who married Johann Jacob Mundinger in 1835 and was the daughter of Friedrich Mundinger and Maria Elisabetha Heitzmann, not listed in this profile. This one profile represents two different women and contains facts, sources, and relationships for both women. The first step in fixing a problem area in FamilyTree is determining your perspective and establishing some foundational facts based on that perspective. Your perspective, it's usually determined by your relationship. In my case, I arrived at Katharina Boos's profile by way of the eldest daughter, Anna Katharina Mundinger, born 1835. This daughter will serve as my anchor. Any historical source that documents this daughter's relationship to her mother can supply me with some foundational facts that are consistent with my perspective. Facts in this marriage record for the eldest daughter will help me determine which Katharina I'm related to, Boos or Mundinger. Johann Georg Bürher married in 1864 in Ottoschwanden Katharine Mundinger, born 11 February 1835 to Johann Jacob Mundinger and Katharina Mundinger. This record documents the Katharina I'm related to is Mundinger, not Boos. Looking at the image of the original historical record, I see that Malterdingen is listed as the actual marriage place, and that the bride's mother's name was written as Katharina, G-E-B, Mundinger. G-E-B, short for the German word geboren, which means born, indicates Mundinger was the mother Katharina's maiden name. The name, time frame, location, and relationships on this record match the 1835 marriage record we already looked at, So I have every reason to believe and have to conclude that these two records are for the same couple. These two records provide me with some very firm foundational facts. Since I have a name, date, place, and relationship for my Katharina Mundinger, I'm ready for the next step: to review and sort attached sources. I'm going to compare facts from each of the sources attached to Katharina Boos's profile to the foundational facts I established for Katharina Mundinger from these two records. My goal is to determine which, if any, of the other 22 attached sources belong to my relative, Katharina Mundinger. Viewing the attached records chronologically is helpful, so toggle that on first. I'm going to open the viewer on each record simply to make it easier for your eyes as I work down the list. I'm going to sort the records into two categories as I go: records for my relative, Katharina Mundinger, and records for anyone else. When reviewing a set of records, it often helps to chart events, facts, and relationships in chronological order to help separate people into families. This is what the first two conflicting records gave me: which documents where these facts in the profile came from, and which Katharina they belong to. The 1864 marriage record added these facts and told me it's Katharina Mundinger I'm related to. This is the 1808 baptism record we already reviewed. For any record that is not for my relative, I will close the viewer. The next two records in 1808 are duplicates for the same birth and christening. This is the 1835 marriage record I'm using as my foundational record. For any record that pertains to my Katharina Mundinger, I'll leave the viewer open. When I'm done sorting, the results will be visible. This record documents the eldest child, Anna Katharina Mundinger, was baptized 1835 in Malterdingen. She was born February 11, 1835, to Johann Jacob Mundinger and Anna Katharina Mundinger. The names, date, place, and relationship match my foundational records, so I know this record belongs to my Katharina Mundinger. Anna Maria was born 1836 in Malterdingen to the same parents. So I'll add Anna Maria to my chart as Katharina Mundinger's daughter. Anna Maria died in 1838 at the age of 2. The parents' names match, so I'll leave the viewer window open. A second Anna Maria was born in 1839 in Malterdingen to the same parents. This was a common practice to name a child after a previously deceased child. I'll chart the facts from those two records. Maria Elisabetha was baptized in 1841 in Malterdingen. The date aligns with the family profile and the place and parents match. I'll add Maria Elisabetha to Katharina Mundinger's family. Again, I'm leaving the viewer open since the mother in the record is my Katharina Mundinger. Johann Michael Mundinger married in 1842 in Malterdingen to Katharina Boos. Her parents were Friedrich Boos and Sabina Heitzmann. The bride's surname, the father's surname, and the mother of the bride's given names conflict with my foundational facts. Despite the similarities and coincidences, this record belongs to Katharina Boos and not my Katharina Mundinger. I'll also close the viewer on this second record for the same marriage event. Katharina Boos finally gets some facts and a family member. I'm going to mark the marriage with an exclamation point because Johann Michael Mundinger isn't listed as her spouse in FamilySearch. A son, Jacob Friedrich Mundinger, was born in 1843 in Malterdingen. Jacob Friedrich belongs to Katharina Mundinger, and I'm marking the profile accordingly. Karl Wilhelm was born in 1844 in Malterdingen to Michael Mundinger and Katharina Boos. Another duplicate record. Reviewing records in chronological order and charting the relationships shows two growing Mundinger families. Katharina Boos's husband, Johann Michael, died in 1858. Again, Katharina Boos's husband isn't even listed in her profile. In 1866, Wilhelm Pfister married Elisabetha Mundinger, born 1841, to Johann Jacob Mundinger and Katharina Mundinger. Since none of the facts on that record conflicted with facts I've gathered from other records, I can safely add her husband's surname to my chart. Carl Wilhelm married 1868. He was the son born 1844 to Katharina Boos. William Schlenker married in 1869 in Emmendingen Christine Mundinger, whose parents were Jacob Mundinger and Catherine Mundinger. Emmendingen is very near Malterdingen, so the record may be for my Katharina Mundinger. There's no image available to verify the bride was from Malterdingen. When a profile doesn't contain all the records you need to piece together this story, you can look in surrounding profiles for additional records. Christine's profile has a marriage record with an image that shows Malterdingen as her birthplace. You can also look in hints or search for records to find what you need. Every fact in a profile should be documented by an historical record. If a fact cannot be documented, it may not be a fact at all, but rather false information. Johannes Brenn married in 1876 in Balingen. This town is also near Malterdingen. To Anna Maria Mundinger, born about 1840 to Johann Jacob Mundinger and Anna Katharina Mundinger. This record for Anna Maria doesn't have a link to an original image. However, I already have Anna Maria, born late 1839, documented in the family. So I'll add her husband to my chart. This last record shows Katharina Boos was buried in 1882 in Malterdingen at the age of 73. Her deceased husband's name was Johann Michael Mundinger. Records clearly show two Katharinas. My charting has helped me identify which facts, sources, and relationships in the profile belong to my relative and which belong to the other Katharina. And now I have the 22 attached sources visibly sorted, which will be helpful in the next couple of steps. I'm going to leave these viewers open or closed as they are now until I get them each attached to the appropriate profile. This visual sorting technique will only work if you keep the sources page open and refreshed in one browser window while you work in another one. Christina, born 1858, wasn't named in any record I've seen. We'll deal with her later. Before making any edits, we want to determine who the existing profile best represents. 11 sources, the husband, the marriage, and 6 children belong to Katharina Mundinger. 11 sources, all of the vital facts, the parents, and 1 child belong to Katharina Boos. The change history will also give me clues and show past merges. Katharina Boos and Katharina Mundinger were merged a few months back, and if I click on the deleted Katharina Mundinger, I can find some additional information. Deleted profiles show vital facts, but no relationships. They give the number of sources, but no details. Deleted profiles do give you the option to restore a person. Restoring a profile will restore the ID number, facts and relationships, sources, notes, and memories, and temple ordinances if they were completed. The Restore button will also restore all the problems and errors the profile may have had at the time of the merge. You can glean some additional information regarding relationships, sources, and past merges in a deleted person's change history. Katharina Mundinger's change history shows no previous merges, and when her profile was created, she was listed as the wife of Johann Jacob Mundinger and the mother of the children listed in my chronological chart for her. Since Katharina Mundinger was deleted by merge and the Katharina Boos profile survived, And because the profile contains vital facts, sources, and relationships for Katharina Boos, it would be best to keep this as the Boos profile and move Katharina Mundinger out of it. I'm finally prepared to make corrections. Once you determine who will own the profile moving forward, there are 4 options for dealing with the other person. You may be able to unmerge, or you can restore, find a duplicate, or create a new profile for the other person. Unmerge is only an option after a merge has taken place and no edits have been made to the surviving profile. With a number of recent edits to Katharina Boos's profile, unmerge is not an option here. The difference between unmerge and restore is that restore leaves the surviving profile untouched. Unmerge will remove facts, sources, and relationships that were added by merge from the surviving profile. Both unmerging and restoring can be done by the click of a button from the change history. Because unmerging and restoring may present some unexpected results, the third option, finding a duplicate profile, is preferable. I searched FamilyTree using the facts I gleaned from sources, but couldn't find any duplicates for Katharina Mundinger. The final option is to create a new profile for the other person. This is the method I'll be using today because it's the cleanest way to achieve my goal. I can best do this from her husband's profile page. But before I add a new wife to his profile, I need to verify that this Johann Jacob Mundinger is the same one who married my Katharina Mundinger. I'll do this by comparing the facts on the 1835 marriage record I have already determined belongs to my Mundinger couple, to the facts on his birth and death records that are attached in his sources. I have each of these sources open in a separate browser window. His parents' names on the 1835 marriage record on the left match the parents' names on the 1803 birth record in the center, and the parents' names on the 1845 death record on the right. 1803, recorded on the death record, matches the 1803 birth record, and the wife's name on the death record matches the wife's name on the marriage record. All 3 events took place in Malterdingen, and the event dates and parents' names on the records match FamilyTree, so I definitely have the correct Johann Jacob Mundinger profile. There are several buttons on a profile page to simply add a relative. But I don't only want to add a spouse, I want to replace the existing spouse. This Edit Relationship button will allow me to remove Katharina Boos from the family, leaving her intact in FamilyTree as the daughter of Friedrich Boos and Sabina Heitzmann, while adding Katharina Mundinger to FamilyTree and to this Johann Jacob Mundinger family. It removes and replaces the spouse and edits the parent-child relationships in this one little family in one fell swoop. Carl Wilhelm is Katharina Boos's only documented son on this list. This action will remove him as her child, but I can immediately reassign him as her son when I'm done here. It may seem a little counterintuitive, but it is the most efficient way to make the edits on FamilySearch. Check the box and click Replace. I'm typing Anna Katharina since her name appeared that way on a couple of records. I don't have vital information, but I'll type her parents' names as they appeared on the 1835 marriage record to help the system find her if she's already in FamilySearch. To be clear, this is not adding her parents to FamilySearch. The computer did not find a profile for her. Here, I want to explain why I'm replacing Katharina Boos. You can help future researchers follow your research path and help prevent them from making mistakes by supplying a reason. Anna Katharina Mundinger has replaced Katharina Boos as wife and mother in this Johann Jacob Mundinger family. Looking at the two Katharina profiles side by side in two different browser windows shows exactly what the Edit Relationship, Remove and Replace button did. On the left, the husband, marriage date and place, and children have been reassigned to Anna Katharina Mundinger. Neither the Boos nor Mundinger parents appear in the new profile. In Katharina Boos's profile, in the browser window on the right, the husband, marriage, and children have been removed, but her birth and death information and her parents remain. Once you get the wrong person out of the family and the correct person in the family, you may need to correct some surrounding relationships in FamilySearch. Now I want to remove Carl Wilhelm from the Johann Jacob Mundinger family and replace him as Katharina Boos's son. I want to use the Edit Relationship button again because I want to remove and add him in one fell swoop. The pop-up window shows I'm editing the parent-child relationship, and I'm going to click Remove or Replace next to Carl Wilhelm. The red X shows the relationship I'm removing. I check the box and hit Replace Parents, and then visit Katharina Boos's profile to grab her ID number. I work by ID numbers when I can in FamilySearch because there are no duplicate ID numbers. This reduces the chance of errors, especially as there are multiple people by the same name in FamilySearch. Again, I add a reason to help future researchers. As I reload web pages and take a look at the two Katharina profiles, I see that Carl Wilhelm has been removed from Anna Katharina Mundinger's family and added to Katharina Boos's family. Now for the problem child Christina. Christina appears to have been born 15 years after her father's death. Were her birth date documented, that would be a good reason to remove her from the family. However, the Malterdingen church records do not show a Christina Mundinger born or baptized the 5th of June, 1858, as her profile claims. Furthermore, the Christina, born 1838's birth, was documented as the 5th of June also, so I believe they may be the same person. I can't prove this without the 1911 death record, which isn't available online. Until I can lay eyes on that record, I'd like to keep Christina, born 1858, as the daughter of both Katharinas. Because I'm not removing her from her current family, I can use the Add Child button on Katharina Boos's profile. This will simply add her to that family as well. Again, I'm going to add by ID number to avoid the possibility of getting the wrong Christina added to the family. I'll grab the ID number from Anna Katharina Mundinger's profile. Christina is now a daughter in both families. And when I go to Christina's profile page, you can see both sets of parents show up. Now I want to move the 11 sources that I previously determined were for Katharina Mundinger to her profile. The process is fairly simple. From my sorted list of sources, I'll click Review Attachments. Facts from the record are on the left. Information from FamilyTree is on the right. The person just below this blue line is the focus person, whose point of view the information is from. Green signifies the attachment of a record to a person in FamilyTree. Katharina Mundinger on this record is attached to Katharina Boos in FamilyTree. Johann Jacob Mundinger on the record is attached to someone in FamilyTree who isn't in Katharina Boos's family. The white shows the record has not yet been attached. To detach the record, I'll hit Change to change the focus person, and then paste the ID number in for Katharina Mundinger. The information on the record stayed the same. The information in FamilyTree changed to Anna Katharina Mundinger's point of view. The green and white color coding updated to show that the record for Katharina Mundinger is not attached to this Anna Katharina Mundinger in FamilyTree, but this record for Johann Jacob Mundinger is attached to this Anna Katharina Mundinger's husband. To detach the record from Katharina Boos, I'm going to click Detach next to the record. Then type my reason for detaching. Click Detach. And then I'm ready to attach the record to Katharina Mundinger. I click Compare and Attach. I need to repeat this process for each of the remaining sources that belong to Katharina Mundinger. Click Review Attachments. Change the focus person to Katharina Mundinger. Detach the record from Katharina Boos. And reattach to Katharina Mundinger. Last one. Now, Anna Katharina Mundinger shows 11 sources, and Katharina Boos kept the 11 that belonged to her. Leaving no trace of the other person on each of the profiles greatly reduces the chance of another researcher accidentally undoing all of your hard work. After you split a profile, there will often be some lingering facts for the new person in the Other Information section of the old profile. You want to remove these to reduce the risk of confusion for future researchers. And because some of this information is used to generate hints. In Katharina Boos's case, I found that a number of records for Katharina Boos's husband Michael Mundinger were attached to Anna Katharina Mundinger's husband, Johann Jacob Mundinger. I want to detach these records from him to make sure these couples do not get confused again in the future. Because a mess in FamilySearch usually isn't contained to just one profile, I also review and correct facts, attached sources, and relationships in neighboring profiles. The last thing I will do is glance at the hints to make sure no hints for the other woman appear in each of the profiles. You can help avoid creating a mess like the one I just cleaned up by using historical sources to document your edits and by carefully reviewing historical sources before merging any profiles. While reviewing the Johann Michael Mundinger attachments on Katharina Boos's profile to make sure that they weren't attached to Johann Jacob Mundinger, I discovered the 1858 death record was attached to a Johann Michael Mundinger already in FamilyTree. He proved to be Katharina's actual husband, whose first wife died the year before he married Katharina Boos. So I added him to her family. I was also able to use the parents' names on Katharina Mundinger's 1835 marriage record to find her parents in FamilyTree. There was a hint on her father's profile that turned out to be a birth record for Katharina that showed she was born in 1813 and was a twin. Cleaning up a profile often leads to new discoveries like this. Correctly splitting, unmerging, or restoring a profile is the most challenging task on FamilySearch, but also the most rewarding. Besides getting everything corrected in FamilyTree, the process helps you get to know your ancestors and often leads to new discoveries. Let's review what we've learned. When you notice anything illogical in a profile, or you find that facts from the attached records conflict with one another in a significant way, the profile probably contains facts, sources, and relationships for more than one person. To sort it out, first determine your perspective. This is usually how you relate to the person, or how you arrived on their profile. Review an historical source that documents your prospective person's relationship to the person with the problem profile. Use the facts in that record as a foundation and as a tool to determine what other sources belong to your perspective. Compare facts from each of the attached sources to your foundational facts. You want at least 3 matching facts and no major conflicts to accept a record for your ancestor. To visually sort as you go, leave the viewer open for any record pertaining to your perspective, and close the window for any record pertaining to anyone else. Viewing records in chronological order and charting facts and relationships as you go helps sort individuals into families. Compare the facts and relationships you charted from historical sources to the profile to determine who the profile best represents. Consult the change history for additional clues and to look for past merges with other profiles. For even more clues, consult a deleted person's change history. Once you determine which person will own the profile moving forward, find, unmerge, restore, or create a profile for the other person or persons. Unmerge and restore will restore facts, sources, relationships, and temple ordinances, but will also restore errors that were in the profile at the time of the merge. Restore affects only the deleted profile, leaving the surviving profile untouched. Unmerge, when it's available, returns both the surviving profile and the deleted profile to their pre-merged states. Once you get the wrong person out of the family and the right person in the family, you'll need to correct family relationships using either the Edit Relationship button to remove and replace in one fell swoop, or use the Add button to add a relationship without removing a previous relationship. You can move sources to the correct profile from the Sources page on the problem profile. Click Review Attachments. Green signifies an attachment of the record to a profile. White means the record has not been attached to anyone in FamilyTree yet. Change the focus person to the person you want the record attached to. Detach the record from the problem profile and reattach to the correct person. Before you move on to another ancestor in FamilyTree, remove all traces of the other person from each of the profiles. Evidence of the other person often lingers in the Other Information section and will need to be deleted. It's also a good idea to review and correct facts, attached sources, and relationships in neighboring profiles. And reject record hints for the other person in each of the profiles. These steps are especially important when unmerging or restoring a profile that was previously merged. I hope this video helps you tackle your own problem areas in FamilyTree so you can make some new discoveries of your own. Thanks for watching.